Hello there, viewer. Uh, Today I'm gonna complain about other people complaining about more Dungeons and Dragons, dungeonry and dragonology, and generally the stuff that happens when nerds get their hands on, like, dice that look like these. Anyway, a common complaint I hear about 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons is how there aren't enough options. To which my response is, are you sure? Because now fighters have way more options. There's 3 different kinds of fighters, and they're all really different from one another, and that's just in the player's handbook. You could always be a Banneret or a Purple Dragon Knight in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. Um, Paladins now have more options for their oaths. You don't have to be a Paladin of Slaughter, or a Paladin of Tyranny, or a Paladin of Freedom. If you want to be something interesting, you could be a Paladin who takes the Oath of Devotion, or the Ancients, or Vengeance, or the Crown, and then you can break that oath and be an Oathbreaker, pretty much an anti-Paladin, which the Spoony one made a video about, and it's not a terrible ramble he goes on, though it takes like 20 minutes, 30. I don't know. I talk a lot too. It must be a nerd thing. Anyway. And then we have, thieves or rogues. They have 3 different options now. I think 4 if you check the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, though I might be wrong there. I'm probably wrong. Anyway. And I ask them, exactly what do you mean by you lack options for classes? Do you mean you lack options for races? Because there's now, like, races and sub-races, and while I agree that tieflings don't need to be their own race separate completely from Azamar, that could be one bigger race called Plain Touched and then 2 sub-races, Tiefling and Azamar, and I personally am homebrewing something for that, because it's something that I've decided to feel strongly about, and darn it, I'm gonna homebrew this. I'll probably post details on it some other time. And at which point, I typically get interrupted, and they say, we need more sorcerer origins. Ah, these people got into 5th edition through Pathfinder. Pathfinder's sorceress origins, or bloodlines, range somewhere in the low hundreds. Tell me exactly how many of those sound like they're fun to play, and tell me how many of those are honestly so different in terms of actual role-playing and what they would really mean to a character, that they have to be considered different things. Like, I don't get why demons and devils. I know these are 2 very different creatures in Pathfinder, but I don't know why they need separate bloodlines. Why not just say fiendish bloodline, and that's it. You have the blood of an evil outsider, and that's where you get all your weird magical powers from. More than that, why do we have Archon blood and Azata blood? Even in the game, there's not that much of a difference between the 2. That's kind of what makes good outsiders that much radically different from evil outsiders. Evil outsiders will never work together. Good outsiders are kind of like the Tau from 40k. It's for the greater good. They really don't care about law or chaos as much as they care about good or evil. Law and chaos, as far as I can see, good outsiders being concerned, are largely matters of how, not matters of what. Evil outsiders, evil is the matter of how, but law and chaos are the matter of what. That's how I can draw the distinction anyway. And that's a tangent for another time, I'm sure. But do we really need all those different bloodlines when we can just say either you are fiendish or you are celestial? And those are your 2 bloodlines there. Do we really need a bloodline for being the blood of frost giants, specifically. Why not just have a giant bloodline, and why not make that a race? So many sorceress options could just be races, and you can have some of these abilities and a class that's actually more interesting to play than what the wizard should be in the first place. Because Vancian magic needs to die. And 5th edition, if it doesn't kill it, at least tries to stab it as hard as possible. And that's just something I suppose I might be alone about as a dungeon master. Because it's not old school to say Vancian magic needs to die, but chances are if you play Pathfinder, you don't actually like the old school, because the old school looks at Pathfinder and laughs at you because you are whiny little brats. How come I only get 1 first level spell or 2 first level spells at first level? I'm used to having 1 first level spell and no cantrips. You suck it up, frickin' Merlin. Watching you, Gandalf, with your fancy Vancian malarkey. Trying to watch my language. Anyway. Complaining about there's not enough choices for classes solely because there aren't that many sorcerer bloodlines, I find to be incredibly myopic. Terribly short-sighted. And comparing it to Pathfinder, A, Pathfinder's been out longer. B, 90% of the work that went into Pathfinder was highlighting a bunch of stuff from 3.5 in a Word document, going Control-C, and then Control-V. So much of Pathfinder is not bad, mind you. I do like Pathfinder about as much as an individual can like Pathfinder, but it is incredibly lazy. They essentially just reprinted 3.5 with tweaks that, quite frankly, should have been in 3.5 in the first place. And frankly, 3rd edition is an edition that kind of cemented a lot of things in Dungeons & Dragons that, let's face it, aren't very good. Like, oh God, I could make a list about all these terrible things in 3rd edition, and I've probably already alienated and pissed off a lot of the people that I game with, who probably are watching this. Hi, guys. I still love you. I just think you're wrong. So, am I wrong about these options? Because, frankly, not having to take levels in Wizard before you're an Eldritch Knight gives the fighter way more options. And as far as every other magic user class is concerned, with the possible exception of Druid, which just got a complete overhaul that gave it a much-needed nerf. Otherwise, we have Druidzilla again. Oh my god, Druids were so overpowered, and Pathfinder did not help. They kind of fixed that, though, and that was awesome. Pretty much everyone just got more options. Why complain about this one class that really shouldn't have had so many options in the first place, and in 3.5 didn't have any options at all, just like every other class, except the Cleric, who got domains, which in 2nd edition were spheres, thank you. I'm just saying, I have all these books, and as much as I like these books and I like the games, there's so much in it that's just weird and wrong, and could have been done better and differently, and I feel 5th edition addresses and fixes, but if I am perfectly wrong, I'm open to being wrong. Just tell me why. And I trust that you will in the comments below. And this being YouTube, I'm sure you're gonna be totally civil, perfectly polite people whom your parents are super proud of. Thank you for watching.